Hi, I'm Courtney with Filament Stories, and today I've got something a little different. This is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, and the reason I decided to tell the story today started with this spool, but I'm going to get back to that in a little bit. So I want to start out by telling about how Filament Stories came to be. So if you know me, you know I love filament, and I really love filament, and I can't explain it. I just love the possibilities that you get with a spool of filament. But when I would go to a manufacturer's site, I wanted to know what it looked like up close in detail. I wanted to see macro shots and prints showing layer lines, if it's matte, glitter, transition. I wanted to know anything that they could show me visually that would let me know what my prints were going to look like if I bought that filament. And a lot of times, there just wasn't that much out there, either on a brand site or on their Amazon pages. Maybe there'd be a side view of the spool. Sometimes there'd be pictures, but you couldn't see them up close. Sometimes there was just a picture of the spool in a bag, sealed bag. So how am I supposed to know if I want to buy that filament when I can't see it? And there are companies out there that make absolutely beautiful filaments, but it's hard to know from the information on their website. There would be a lot of technical information like temperature ranges, diameter accuracy, the strength, acceptable print speeds, does it smell, is it biodegradable, and a whole bunch of other things. And those things are all important, but a lot of them are the same for a lot of filaments. Why was there so much attention to detail about this information about the filament, but showing the filament itself didn't seem to be as high a priority? So don't get me wrong, there are a lot of filament companies out there that have excellent photos and videos and close-ups, but a lot of companies don't. And that's why I started Filament Stories. It was with the encouragement and help of my husband, who works very hard behind the scenes. He is the reason that our videos look as good as they do. And I have a huge amount of respect for the work he does. So this started because he encouraged me, and I'd bought a lot of filament. And so maybe, I don't know, I guess I'm stubborn or curious, because I would go and I would look at a filament and say, I can't really tell. I'll buy it and I'll find out for myself. So Filament Stories videos, the goal in them is to show all of the things that I wanted to see about a filament that I wouldn't necessarily be able to see. And I would show interesting prints, functional prints, seasonal, or maybe just plain fun models, and take that as a way to show how the filament actually worked. And these stories would be like 1 minute long was our plan. And we would showcase the filament, not review it. You don't have time. And we'd say a thing or two about the company and my experience printing it with it. So this back here is, I don't think I've ever talked about it. This is my storyboard, and it's like the first 80 or so filaments that we did. Look, here's the tire filament. And this is our logo. And I would print one of these for every filament that we did. So my goal here in Filament Stories has been to share as much information as I can about filaments. I want to share about all kinds of brands, colors, types, and styles of filaments. Filaments from all over the world. Filaments that we use all the time, but maybe new makers have questions about. Or uncommon or unusual filaments that maybe few people have seen, and anything in between. So through all of that, I've tried to keep my personal bias out of the videos. I've tried to show each filament with its own merits. But the most difficult question that I get, and I get it a lot, is, what's your favorite filament? And I do not have a favorite filament. There are just far too many filaments that I love. But I do have some favorite brands, and one of them is admittedly Protopasta. I love printing with their filament, and I've been printing with them ever since I started 3D printing. And I've bought a lot of their filament. Look, there's Nebula. I love Nebula. I got their Endless Possibility subscription and enjoyed getting their brand new filaments every couple months. So that gets me to the announcement part of the video. And this is something that started with this little spool here. I put out a video a while back on how to print sample spools using scrap bits of filament, and it was based on a blog post on the Protopasta site. And that video started a dialogue with Protopasta. And in November of last year, Protopasta asked for our help. They said they liked what we were doing with Filament Stories, and they wanted to know if we'd be up for helping them with some of their social media content. So in December, of 2021, we went to the Protoplant and we learned everything we could about Protopasta. And we saw how they got to make their filament with their completely from scratch process. And it's so neat. I get to make my own filament. This is it. This is like a dream come true for me. So in 2022, I'm excited to announce that Filament Stories and Protopasta are going to be working together, which means you may see me over on the Protopasta social media, helping them better communicate their product, their company, and their mission to bring exceptional filament to makers and companies around the world. So yes, Protopasta is only one of many wonderful filaments out there, and I love filament, right? I love all filament. So that partnership is only going to be one facet of the work we do. And I do try very hard to be as unbiased as I can when I present a filament and say, here's the filament, my experience with it, here's what I think is good about it. So I'm going to be here on Filament Stories, and I'm going to be Courtney and crazy as I can, as I normally am about filament. And I'm going to be sharing about all kinds of filament this year. But in order to do that, I need some help from you all. I want to know what you want to see. This past year, I pretty much was like, oh, I'll just show the filament I have. And I got some new filament and I had some requests, but most of it was things that I chose to do. But I want to know what you all want to see. And to do that, I need input from you all. So if you could please let me know in the comments what you're interested in. Do you want to know about certain types of filament, certain brands, features of filament? Is there a price range you want to know, or a geographical location? So let me see if I can get this right. Are you interested in marble and granite filament or hemp filament? Filament made from shells or algae? What about translucent glittery filament? Tomato filament? Well, made from tomatoes is not all tomatoes. Filament made with coffee. Filament that after you make it, you can remold it. Super shiny filament. Filament, this is heavy, with metal. That's really heavy. Scented filament, wood filament, translucent, blacklight, reactive filament, and of course, rainbow filament. So I will be back soon with more standard Filament Stories videos. But if you haven't checked out Protopasta, go over and follow those guys. They're really nice folks. All right, see you next time.